Today we got the Girsan and the Smith & Wesson M&P. We're gonna have a little head-to-head comparison. Both of these 9mm full-size firearms. I'm gonna let y'all know at the beginning of the video, I already have a little bias towards the M&P. I've owned one, I carry one. It's a great gun, but over the years I've learned about this Girsan right here on the left, and it's actually a great, reliable firearm for a good price. So I put these two together in a comparison video because they're so similar. The Girsan, I believe, is basically modeled after the M&P. So first off, these guns are loaded. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop the magazines. And we can start with the magazines. So let me show clear. The magazines are not cross compatible. From what I've seen, I can put the Girsan magazine into the M&P and it'll load and cycle. However, I cannot put the M&P magazine into the Girsan. It's too small. So do it that what you must. I wouldn't necessarily advise going and buying Girsan magazines instead of M&P magazines. I'm not even sure where you will find a Girsan magazine, but recently Girsan has been coming out with a lot of firearms and material and kind of catching up with the hunger for the market for their product. So I wouldn't doubt that you can find Girsan magazines for a decent price. And next we're gonna move up to the grip texture. Now, as far as grips, the M&P is the best, far none. Like, I can't compare any firearm to the grip of M&P. The grip angle, the texture, is perfection. Now on the Girsan, I don't hate it. This is a Talon grip, so this is not the original grip that came on it, but it still feels nice in the hand. The beaver tail is a little bit more pronounced, kind of like maybe a Gen 1 M&P, but I could definitely see myself shooting it and making it easy to acquire the sights. Now they do take the same sights as well. They both dovetailed in the same way. So your M&P sights will be interchangeable with your Girsan. And then we have capacity in the magazine. That's something I kind of jumped over. These are 17 round magazines in the M&P and a 15 round magazine in the Girsan. The Girsan is a bit thinner than the M&P, as you could probably tell when I tried to put the M&P magazine in. I'm not sure that you would want to carry the Girsan for concealed carry, but this isn't my gun. This is a coworker's gun, and for a long time it was his only gun. He concealed carried it, he used it for duty, and he was never underarmed. He likes it because it's been reliable. He says he's got thousands of rounds through it without a single jam. And he trusts it as a duty weapon, but this is his upgrade, because naturally you can start out, and that's the point in this video. You don't have to have a lot of money to get a good gun and to get into concealed carrying or whatever you're doing. You might have a property that you're protecting, like your home. You might live on a farm, or you might work for a company or do something that requires you to have a gun, and guns are very expensive. So not everybody can go drop $600 on an M&P, but most people can go drop $350 on Girsan and still get the same reliability, the same grip angle, and just a different name. So moving up from the grip, we're gonna go to the slide serrations. So much like the M&P, it's got serrations on the back, and then it has some slight serrations on the front to press check or whatever you want to do. actually, they work a little better than the M&Ps because, as you can see, the M&Ps is just so small. You can't barely get your hand on it to use it. When we compare triggers, this is where the rubber kind of meets the road. So we're going to go with the Girsan trigger first. So very smooth. There's not a lot of take up. You meet a definite wall, then it just breaks. A lot of over travel, resets decent, right back at the wall, and it breaks. So it's a very consistent trigger pull. It's a nice wall. I always like a wall that's defined, and I can tell when I'm at the wall and it's about to break. Two different safeties. This is more of a Glock style safety system on your Girsan trigger. So that's one way they differ. But when it comes to the M&P, the trigger is actually not as smooth as the Girsan, but still very smooth. It's a little gritty. It's a new gun. Only a few hundred rounds through it. But now I'm back at that definite wall, and then a break, clean break. I can't necessarily call the Girsan's break clean, but this is a clean break. Nice reset. It's tactile. I know exactly where I'm at in the trigger, and boom, breaks again. So if you're gonna be doing any precision shooting or competition shooting, or you're trying to shoot fast, go with the M&P. Now, not to say you can't do any of these things with the Girsan, but you will be at a disadvantage. And that's just one of the things you run into when you get a cheaper gun. All right, so we're gonna go from the trigger to the breakdown. Both of these guns break down exactly the same. Cock it back, turn that lever to the side, pull the trigger. And on the M&P, there is a way to take it down without pulling the trigger. But for the purposes of this video, we're just gonna do it the old school way and break it all the way down. Same thing with the Girsan. Cock it all the way back, pull the lever down, pull the trigger. Comes right off. Captured recoil springs. Somewhat similar barrel profile. I'm gonna compare the two frames. So as you can see, the M&P right here in my right hand and the Girsan in my left, the M&P has a lot more rail space. That's gonna make this gun more rugged and durable, and it's probably gonna make it track just a bit smoother. They both have similar trigger mechanisms on the inside, even though they're different on the outside. You can see, and this is interesting. So the M&P has an ambidextrous slide release, and the Girsan does not. The M&P has this built-in piece right here. This piece right here wasn't on the Gen 1s. They added it so it could stop the inertia loading. For y'all who don't know, inertia loading is when you slam a magazine in a gun, and if the slide is open, the slide will go home and it'll rack one into the chamber. So I don't mind inertia loading, but a lot of people think it's dangerous, which it may be, and they don't want it on their firearms. So that's why this little tab is right here, and it works. Now, the Girsan has something somewhat similar, I think, but it's kind of internal, and if I'm being honest, it doesn't work. So take from that what you must. Now to the recoil springs. Very, very similar side by side. You almost cannot tell the difference. Single captured recoil springs, no dual recoil springs. I don't know the poundage on them. And now to the barrels. Profile's a little different on the locking lug, so don't expect to be interchanging the barrels in these guns. The Girsan looks maybe a tad bit thicker in the profile. Of course, the M&P is finished with the nitrite. You see a little rust on Girsan barrel. See, the M&P barrel is clean, the Girsan is dirty, so you don't really have to take that for much. So I'm gonna see if I can show you guys the inner rifling of both of them. So there goes the M&P. All right, there we go. That's a good shot. There's the rifle on the M&P. And here is the rifle on the Girsan after a few thousand rounds. Still looking good, just in case you're wondering. And now to the slides. Nothing much to say about them. They look exactly the same. So now for reassembly, we're gonna go with the M&P first. Start barreling. Flip the switch back up. Function check. Good to go. Now the Girsan. Same thing. Now function check. All right, we're good to go. Another difference in these, they're both striker fired, but the Girsan has a loaded striker indicator. The M&P does not. They both have a small porthole or a brass hole so you can see if the gun is loaded, but no loaded chamber indicator. And that's about it. So the Girsan is a Turkish firearm. The M&P is American as you know it. If you're in the market for a duty gun, a concealed carry gun, or home defense, I would advise it based off someone I know who's carried this specific firearm for the past 3 years and had no problems. I would still advise if you have more money, just go grab the M&P. Parts availability is there. Magazine interchangeability is a lot better. The trigger's a lot better. Grip's better, but not everybody has the budget to go drop $600 on a pistol. So go ahead and let me know in the comments which one y'all will pick, and I'll be back with a range video soon.